Thank you. Good evening and welcome to our series of lectures conducted by the Mechanical Engineering Sectional Committee. This year our theme has been more on environment and also sustainable development. We started the series with a very interesting lecture on sustainable development goals. As you know, there are these 17 goals declared by the United Nations, and you'll see splash on the wall of the UN office there. So it is time that we also recognize the importance of these goals, and as you all know, Sri Lanka signed to accede by those goals very early. Therefore, all of us are responsible to make sure that we follow those things. When you talk about sustainability and sustainable goals, environment is a very most important part of the scheme of things, and our knowledge of the environmental laws, regulations, and also the impacts that any activity, particularly our kind of activities where the engineers get involved, is very important. So the whole idea of conducting the series of lectures to try and increase that awareness and increase that knowledge among our members. Although there are only a few of you here, don't worry about that. We are live streaming it so that all our provincial centers also can listen to this on live. In addition to that one, we will be always recording this, and also it will be uploaded on YouTube. You can watch it later also. And hopefully we might even try and get it published in written form. So we started, like I said, on a lecture on sustainable goals. Then of course we got the assistance of the Central Environmental Authority, the apex body which is tasked with the responsibility to make sure our environment is looked after. And we are very fortunate that Ms. Kanti De Silva, the present acting Deputy Director General, was here, and a very, very interesting lecture she gave us on the EIA process. As you know, the mechanism by which the Central Environmental Authority looks after that any project conforms to the regulations, environmental regulations, is by going through a process called the environmental impact assessment. Depending on the scale of the project, the intensity or the depth to which this study is done is determined, and we are supposed to make sure that all the projects are duly evaluated and regulations and conditions are given before the project is done. Having said that, we also know there are problems, and particularly now, if any of you came for one of the previous lectures, we have a whole series of laws and regulations and acts going back many, many decades, I would say. Sri Lanka is one of the earliest to start issuing regulations and having enactments to look after environment. But the complexity increases when there are more development. There's more difficult issues that come up. Therefore, the process also has to become more complex. But I think I'll be right in saying that unfortunately we are not paying enough attention to it, and also the general public does not take their responsibility of being aware and also being vociferous where needed, except when things happen. Now, like all the talks about Umawe, things that should have been discussed much earlier, which did not happen. So we have now trouble trying to correct it. So in this series, having looked at the original requirements of the sustainable goals, then looked at the EIA process, then looked at the laws and regulations, we thought it is also important to see how successful or otherwise we have been in this whole process of impact assessment, EIA. For which we thought one of the better things would be to take on a project which is by and large completed, and how well we manage it, and what chances we had in trying to correct any upsets, any issues that came up, and how successful we were. For that one, we are very, very fortunate to have with us Mr. Javadana. He is acting director of EIA, Yeah, that's right, from the Central Environmental Authority. Very experienced officer who have been involved. You are involved in the Southern Expressway. You see it? Yeah, monitoring. So that we are getting it from the horse's mouth. That's it. So we would like to know how it works. We will learn some lessons as to how not to make mistakes of the past and to what degree that we should be aware of it, and at what stages that we as citizens and engineers in particular can intervene in time to prevent environmental disasters happening because somebody didn't do their job right. And maybe we one point of fingers at the CEA also say you didn't do your job right. But it is for us. It's not for CEA or for us or ISL. It's for Sri Lanka and for the world for that matter. Therefore, this is the most important aspect that all of us as engineers, we have to be conscious of this because we are responsible for the good side and the bad side of it. I think more responsible for the bad side of it because we are not aware, we are not doing our duty on that. To do our duty, we must know what it is about. That is the whole purpose of this thing. So this is only one of the lectures. We hope that we can put it together into some kind of a booklet. But before that, all the lectures that we have conducted before and what we will be conducting hereafter will also be available on the YouTube. So you can always go back and look at anything that we have missed. So since you have already taken too much time, I would like to invite Mr. Javadan and do please ask questions. That's very, very important. And one kind request, put your mobile phones on silent mode as a respect to our learned lecturer. Thank you very much, Mr. Javadan.
Good evening. So today I am going to talk on the Southern Expressway experience we had. Actually, I may not be the right person to talk about this because I have experience only on monitoring of Southern Expressway, but I got a chance to go through all the files and to see what happened in the past, and I am sharing that knowledge I gained very recently with you. So we will briefly go through the process, the EIA process in Sri Lanka. These are the contents that I am going to talk about: the legal framework, the procedures in relation to EIA of Southern Expressway project, and lessons learned. So the environmental impact assessment process in the National Environmental Act is coming under the Part 4C of the Act and the regulation under which. So basically only prescribed projects need to undergo EIA. That means the large projects which can have negative impacts on the environment, significant negative impacts, has to undergo this EIA procedure, and it is done not only by CEA, it is done through sometimes project approving agencies. Those are government agencies, maybe the Forest Department, maybe Wildlife Department, maybe Coast Conservation Department. It's not a Mahavali Authority, likewise. And we have two levels of EIA. That is EIA, the full-fledged EIA, and initial environmental examination. This is also require a report to be done, and it is evaluated. The only difference is it is not open for public review before granting approval. Still, This is a public document. Anybody can have access to all the IEE reports. Those are available in the library of the CEA or the project approving agency's library. So actually before this revision in 2000, actually even the IEE was to undergo a public review for a shorter period of time. It was removed saying that it is a undue delay because the public comments received for small projects were very minimal. Even for big projects, the public comments we receive is not sufficient. Sometimes only affected parties come and write to us, but actually we expect the educated crowd, the academia, the engineers, biologists to involve in this process, then only we all improve. Otherwise, only few people make decisions and sometimes those may not be the correct decisions because we all depend on the available information and the knowledge. More knowledgeable people involved in the EIA process, it becomes better. So not only in National Environmental Act, there are some other acts which requires some projects in that project in certain areas to be undergo EIA process. The Coast Conservation Act, even before the National Environmental Act requires this EIA process, introduced this EIA process, the Coast Conservation Act introduced this for the first time to Sri Lanka. Now, even in the Fauna and Flora Protection Act, they have EIA requirements, and even in Northwestern Provincial Environmental Statute, they also have EIA requirements. So, this is the time frame that requires for an EIA. Actually, these time frames that which I have mentioned are for project approving agency. But for preparation of EIA or for responding to public comments or the comments of the technical evaluation committee, the project proponent can take his own time because he has to defend his project. It is his project get delayed if he is getting late. So the authorities have only very limited time. For screening, we have 6 days. For scoping, that to set TOR, we need 30 days. The public review, actually it needs 30 working days. That means about 1.5 months. And to deliver the public comments to the project proponent, it takes 6 days. And after responding to all the public comments and the technical queries made by the technical evaluation committee, the project approving agency has only 30 days to make a decision. So these are very basic things about the STDP, Southern Expressway project. It is a new expressway project proposed by RDA running from Kottawa to Godagama in Matara. We did a full-scale EIA by the actually administered by the Central Environmental Authority. The EIA study was done by the University of Moratuwa. So this is 128 kilometer long expressway. started on 1998. That means approval obtained in 1999. Then detailed designs were done. After the EIA, actually, at the time the EIA was done, there were no detailed designs. Yes. Now the expressway has been completed in 2014 and in operation stage now. So this is the expressway. It has actually 3 sections. One from Kottawa to Kurundugahatamma to Pinnaduwa to Godagama. So there are a couple of primary objectives we expected from this expressway: to improve transport facility for the future development of southern region. The second one, to catalyze the economic and social development of the southern region, to promote interregional transport facilities, because this was expected to be a part of the total network which is being constructed at the moment, and to produce a sustainable and quantifiable reduction in country's road accident. So these were the primary objectives. After implementing this, are we achieving this? That is what we have to think. Because in Sri Lanka, some things happen different to other developed world actually, because I still cannot see the development we expected through this. We save a lot of time, that is true. Are we really making that time actually worthwhile for everybody? And there are a couple of alternatives proposed: the original RDA trace, and then there were public pressures and all. So RDA modified the trace, so it was called combined trace. Then they considered improvements to the A2 road, existing railway, or no action alternative. So when they after comparing all this, the RDA selected this combined trace. So actually this is not very clear. The difference in combined trace is at 3 locations. It goes in the wetlands. That is the only difference at 3 locations. That is Bolgoda, Koggala and Maduganga. The original trace goes in highland, but the altered combined trace was proposed to go through wetlands, actually to protect some human settlements. In approving the proposal, actually the CEA pushed RDA to go for the original proposal. We made that condition, so it also had some feedback also, we'll discuss later. So this is the timeline. So in 1998 May, the ADB came up with this inception report. Right? In 98 June, a steering committee was set up, and 98 October, RDA requested environmental approval from CEA. So in November 98, a draft EIA report, a draft feasibility report was produced by ADB. Then, not like present time, that time we were learning the EIA process actually. The RDA came up with a TOR like what is happening in other countries. What happens in other countries, not like in Sri Lanka, the project proponent come up with a TOR, get the consent of the project approving agency for the TOR. Then they carry out the study. In Sri Lanka, the project approving agency is preparing the TOR and providing that to the project proponent. So this time, actually in the case of Southern Expressway, it happened like that, not similar to the current practice. So CA granted the concurrence, and they submitted the report in May 99. So it was open for public review. Actually, these days we are not conducting the public meetings for getting their views. We are receiving or asking only written submissions. But in the case of STDP, in addition to the written submissions, we had two public consultations, one in Goa and one in Panagura. We received 379 written submissions or views from the general public, and for these two meetings there were more than 100 people attended, and actually they presented their views on this. So the final tech meeting, we normally these days we rush many things. We have couple of tech meetings, normally 2 or 3, and make a decision. In the case of STDP, they had 5 meetings, and on the 5th meeting, the technical evaluation report was finalized. In July 1999, environmental approval was granted, and then the decision was published in the newspaper in August. RDA submitted a monitoring plan, environmental monitoring plan, in June 2000, and in October 2000 we started monitoring. From October 2000 up to October 2014, we had more than 60 monitoring, inspections and meetings. So it's not like giving approval, the monitoring is the biggest part of the EIA, and it is the most difficult part, I would say, and the most important part of the process. So against the time frames given, the time spent for different aspects, during this exercise, in the case of STDP, is highlighted here. We have given lot of time for public review. I can use this also. Okay, thanks. So the scoping has taken only a little time because the RDA submitted a good TOR. We had very little amendments because ADB helped us a lot, and we managed to give approval within a fairly acceptable time frame. So when we look at the impacts, actually air quality impacts is not the highest. The hydrological impacts is the most significant impact in the case of STDP. Actually the hydrology report amended 3 times, reviewed 3 times, and the improved and the suggestions were incorporated into the construction. So because the first hydrology report has been done by a foreigner, European experts, where they don't get the heavy rains. So the second one was done by University of Moratuwa. There were a lot of improvements in that. However, the flood occurred in 2008 gave us a warning that the openings we kept may not be sufficient to mitigate flood in the future. So that even after 2000 we incorporate lot of openings across the road for flood to be released. So when it comes to air pollution, actually we should not just go through this, because when we go to the pictures we can really see how it is done. Noise and vibration, because the ADB part, that is near Goa, we had lot of rocks to be excavated for the construction of the road. So the lot of blasting activities were taken place, and lot of air pollution, that dust and noise, vibration pollution was there. And actually in this case there were a lot of delays also due to this, because there were a lot of public protests against blasting activities, because people were not very used to this. Even though RDA had quarries here and there, this was the first time that they are mining a huge amount of granite in mid of settlements. So there was no adopted procedure to identify the impacts and pay compensation. So at a certain stage we actually managed to develop a mechanism to do a pre-crack survey, that is the crack survey of buildings before doing the activity, and to keep monitoring with time, and at the end of the project to pay compensation to rectify the damages. So that also introduced in this project for the first time, I think, in large scale. Actually in this project the ground vibration and the air blast overpressure was monitored for each and every blast. Because public pressure was such that they didn't allow any blasting to be carried out without monitoring. So actually Geological Survey and Mines Bureau had a full-time team to monitor blasting activities of the project. So the natural environment, impact on natural environment was a concern because the original project did not go through wetlands much. Actually, due to public pressure, the RDA changed their proposal, which is called combined proposal, to shift some parts of the project to run through wetlands. However, the Central Environmental Authority actually did not allow that, and we suggested or we pushed RDA to go to the original trace at certain places, actually, especially at 3 places which I mentioned. So after changing, so the RDA adopted our request in their project. The issue was there were parties who were affected due to this suggestion. Their property was affected and they went to courts. So we learned a lesson, even though the court did not give an order to go back to the RDA's proposal, because the original proposal, that means the CA suggested proposal, was better, environmentally better, even though there are some social concerns, but the court ordered in the future the CA can say either yes or no, not the CA cannot alter or suggest any alteration. So now the CA cannot suggest any alteration, or the PA it can say either yes or no to a project proposal. So yes, here we can see the land extent affected and the houses, number of houses affected. 1,315 households have been affected, and 5,000 people, 19,340 people have been affected due to this project. So 214 houses has been removed, and there were 58 settlements or houses within the trace. So this had a lot of public protest, and there were lot of delays in implementing the project. It has taken 14 years to complete the project. So the I'll go through some impacts. This is the flood occurred in 2008, June 2008. So the whole area was flooded. The flood was very bad because the service road did not have sufficient openings. So it was really a big problem, and service road was cut open from different places for flood water to be released. So when it comes to air pollution, actually the dust pollution is the most significant. So there are a couple of ways of controlling dust. The water spraying. The second one is having wind barriers in open areas, or covering the open areas with mulch or suitable covers, so maybe some creeping plants. So this is a quarry, a huge quarry operated in southern Expressway trace. So this is one mitigation, temporary mitigation measure for erosion. They have this sandbags as well as the rubber covers on top of open areas. And to prevent erosion, they have this rubber packing at certain locations. Erosion control also was a big problem because the project area experienced heavy rains during this period. So being the project to be carried out in a wet zone, so erosion was a big problem, and siltation of paddy fields and wetlands and streams occurred fairly frequently. And we tried different methods to control erosion, and at the latter part of the project, actually the mitigation was fairly successful than the early part of it. So there are some slope stabilization and erosion control measures. More than slope erosion control, this is more towards slope stabilization and channeling the water without harming the slopes. So even though we tried different methods, some methods were not successful because we initially tried cheap methods. So actually we thought that would be sufficient. However, with time we learned that we need some advanced control measures to stabilize slopes. This is shotcrete blasting to protect the slope. So we have tried many methods to protect slopes, and I think having a good vegetation can do a reasonable job, but to establish a vegetative cover, that means not a big huge trees, but these grass and creepers, to establish this is very difficult on these slopes because the nutrient levels on this soil is very low. So with time, so it establishes, and then it can do the job we expected. So from time to time we experience at some locations there are some erosions or slope failures, and from time to time they actually rectified that. we didn't expect the erosion to be a major problem actually at the initial stage, but it was a huge problem. It damaged a lot of paddy fields, and RDA had to spend a lot removing silt in streams and agricultural areas. Actually, when it comes to social aspects, I think RDA for the first time went for this large system where the people can claim for their property at the rate of replacement cost. So plus something, actually not just the replacement cost, for the harassment they face little more than the replacement cost. But unfortunately this has been removed by now, and it is applicable only for certain selected projects which are selected by the cabinet. But I think this is a right of people. Yes. The EIA carried in this project when actually EIA team didn't have sufficient information to figure out what would be the impact, because the hydrological information we had was very limited. We had very little monitoring, very few number of monitoring stations with regard to rainfall and stream flows, and even the trace was also not very, because we approved a corridor, not a trace actually, because certain engineering investigations had not been carried out by the time the EIA was done, because public didn't allow RDA to carry out those studies. So, and at that time people didn't have that mind of paying money for using a road actually. Now we don't think twice to pay the toll and use the road, but at that time it was very strange to pay for using a road, because we didn't have any tolled roads in the country. Actually, even the EMP prepared at that time was not focused, because this is one of the first EMPs prepared. So actually we looked at other EMPs prepared in other countries to comment on this, because we also didn't know what aspects has to be looked at when it comes to this stage, to what depth we should specify the mitigation, because mitigation can be described generally, but in recent EMPs, actually mitigation is site specific. They specify for this sort of slopes we do this sort of mitigation, and they categorize the impact or the nature of the situation, and for each category they come up with certain approach or methodology. But in the case of STDP it was very general. What is taken from the textbook was incorporated into the EMP in general format. actually the monitoring, even the monitoring didn't reflect the actual situation, because the authorities did not have had the opportunity to have access to the site without informing the RDA, because due to actually safety reasons, because we have to wear safety gears, as well as we should inform the contractor that there will be some outsiders who have not been trained to take precautions will be present in the construction site. So we prior inform before visiting the site. However, we had a little trick. We sometimes inform 2-3 times before paying one visit, so that the contractor and RDA repeat their job frequently, thinking that the authorities will come and visit. Because we didn't have much staff or resources, other resources to pay visits frequently. But we wanted to get things done. So we were fortunate to have our retired people and some people who were only to work in this project. So we managed to get information through them, what is really happening and how we can intervene and manage to take the activities into the proper track. And actually the monitoring didn't show the exact picture. However, it had some control over the activities carried out. With regard to noise and vibration, the monitoring was very good, because Geological Survey and Mines Bureau was on site throughout to monitor that activity due to public protest. However, it was very expensive. If the engineers and technical officers are adhering to the norms of good engineering practice, actually we need not to carry out frequent monitoring. We should carry out on and off monitoring to see whether unpredicted impacts are there, because routine mitigatory measures everybody knows they can follow and mitigate the impact. There may be certain things which cannot be predicted ahead, and to rectify those, the authorities and the implementing agencies and the contractors will have to work together. I think we should pay more attention to such situations than routine monitoring, because our engineer, we believe with time, will understand the requirements or the importance of complying to the norms and do their jobs in the right way. I think train their staff to do the right thing, because engineers are not always on the site. They will train the people and they will only supervise from time to time the work. So this is at a latter part, the mitigation for siltation and water quality impacts. when we have silt traps in cascade system, after 5 or 6 cascades, we get fairly good water downstream. So these were experiments actually. They tried different things, the consultants and the contractors. They tried and learned how to handle the situation with the available resources, because there are standard methods to control silt or whatever. But are we rich enough to do all that? That's what, because environmental protection costs money. So we should balance this. We cannot destroy our economy putting a lot of money on environmental protection, but we should find low cost, effective methods of mitigating the impacts. So this is also learning exercise. With time we try different things and learn. So we have some recommendations to improve monitoring, because we have realized we take about 3-4 months to approve a project and we have to monitor it for years. So, and it is very difficult because approving process is more or less a desk work, but monitoring is a field work mainly, and it costs a lot of money and resources. So it is not easily done. So the CA alone or the project approving agency themselves cannot do a proper monitoring, because we cannot have that much of staff. So some donor agencies have found a mechanism for monitoring. They hire outside consultants to audit the activities or the compliance. Then that is one way of approaching it, achieving. The other one, if the EMP is not very clear, we always check the work against the EMP. The EMP is not clear enough, it is very difficult to monitor. So we have to have a good EMP. At the time of EIA approval, because the implementing agency do not have resources to prepare this EMP. The consultants who do EIA study should prepare, because they are the ones who know the mitigation methods better and how frequent it is required and where it is required. So now we have make EMP a mandatory item in the EIA report. Earlier, in the STDB case, the EIA report requires only identification of impacts and mitigation measures and some monitoring framework. Just having the monitoring framework, we have realized it will not work. So that we have made EMP is a mandatory item in the EIA report itself. So here, when it comes to lessons learned, these are the items a person who has worked in this project has identified as limitations or barriers to implement actual mitigation measures. To save land, we didn't keep sufficient buffer zone. The slopes are very steep, and without having a buffer zone, noise control and vibration control is not that easy, and it is very expensive. And the initial baseline studies did not have enough measurements to represent the actual baseline situation. So when there is no actual well-established baseline, it is very difficult to refer to, because there is uncertainty, lot of uncertainty in the values of baseline reports. And so the limitation of baseline information is that. So in the EIA reports, now there is certain ways of quantification is done, especially with regard to air quality, noise, vibration. The modeling exercise can be carried out, especially and hydrology. When it comes to biological aspects, is mostly a qualitative description. However, now there are models to identify certain processes or to quantify certain processes or impacts. So in IUCN, I have seen they are using to identify modeling exercise to identify spreading of invasive species or loss of habitats, things like that. So I think in the near future we will be able to incorporate quantified impacts in relation to biological aspects as well. They have identified lack of monitoring by regulatory authorities is a major drawback, because for the contractor, the consultant to get work done through contractor, regular monitoring by authorities is very important, because everybody is trying to achieve the time targets of the project progress, not the environmental mitigation, progress of environmental mitigation. But while trying to achieve project progress, we should try to achieve the environmental mitigation or compliance as well. So at the same time, we should consult public at the very early stage of a project and come to consensus. Otherwise, the public will not speak out at the very beginning. They will wait until the project is approved and start implementing and demand the sun and the moon. Right? Then the contractor is mobilized. The project proponent has to pay compensation, implementing agents has to pay delay payments and things if the work is hampered. So public has lot of power of demanding unwanted things. So this has become a practice. So to minimize this, the only way to minimize this, to make the general public aware of the thing, of the project and the impacts, and to make them aware how the compensation will be done and the mitigation activities will be carried out. Certain things we may not be able to mitigate fully, so that aspect we have to prior inform to the public and bargain or we have to discuss and come to consensus. Otherwise, the implementing agencies will have big issues in relation to compensation things. Yes, this is also becoming a big problem now. Non-availability of adequate information on required resources. Now, for the Central Expressway and the extension of the Southern Expressway, both projects are having lot of problems, issues with regard to finding sufficient amount of gravel and soil and sand also. So at the EIA stage we stressed that information should be in the EIA report for us to review. Somehow they promised us to give those within 6-month time period and obtained the approval, but now couple of 6 months have been passed. We are yet to receive a good resource base, but we are getting some information, but which is not sufficient to serve the purpose. So these are some issues in relation to soft skills of people. We have to change attitude of people. So this is very common. This is what one of our own officers has experienced in the field, who worked in the Southern Expressway as a consultant, environmental consultant. This is his experience. So when you award the contract, the importance of having a good environmental management plan, because it is a part of the contract document. If it is not very clear and comprehensive, the contractor, the binding the contract is very difficult. That the prime document we can have is the EMP and the approval letter. Other than that, there is no way of, the law of the country is also one thing. Other than that, there is no other mechanism to bind or get the contractor to do the work or mitigation activities we want. So actually the contribution from other agencies, constructive contribution, not always coming with the criticisms. We should, if we can suggest a mitigation or approach, we should do that. But we are not supposed to do that, but because the country needs it, so unofficially we can communicate and exchange our views, experiences and knowledge. This is very vital. I think I have talked enough. So we will have a discussion, because there may be a lot of problems and clarifications. You may need a lot of clarifications.
I'm sure there
so
will be a lot of questions, because you gave us a lot of good thoughts. So ladies and gentlemen, please make use of the time.
the idea about the first forum and the time forum. So that is the first of implementation.
Yeah.
Full time and first.
Actually, it is very difficult to rectify after something is happened. So we have to predict that what might happen when we take different actions or construction activities. So if we can guess or predict what can happen, or with the past experience we can identify, mitigation actions are simple and less costly. If erosion starts to occur, control is better, because if we can establish some mechanism or something before rain period starts, before the onset of rain, so it works. If erosion starts, then it is very difficult to mitigate easily. So the silt trapping and the silt trapping is required if erosion occurs. If we can prevent erosion, we don't get silt. So no silt trapping is required. And likewise, if we are taking mitigation of plan properly for blasting activity, if you properly plan blasting, we can control vibration and air blast operation. So control by design or planning is much more effective and less costly.
In fact, what you are saying is what you pointed out in the sense EIA is done long before the detail design was done. So actually what you are checking out is something that you don't know. That is the thing that I picked up from your history. And also the fact that this is a necessary part of the project. That's what we have asked actually. It has to be a cost factored into the total cost. You see, then there are no case of extra cost. That is no cost.
Yes. On the other hand, a lot of project comes without having a proper feasibility study. Actually, some projects are not feasible. We come to know that after doing part of the project. Right? Because we have not done feasibility study. We try to go through shortcuts and it comes to a crisis.
There are a very basic question too. I don't know whether I understood the presentation correctly. So what you mentioned was that RDA being the contractor, they are the people who decide the TO, after the TOR.
They are the project proponent, not the contractor.
Right.
Normally the project in the world, not in other countries, that is how it happens.
Right.
They come up with, I'm going to do this project,
Right.
so I expect these environmental impacts, so I will look into these aspects and I will come up with mitigation. That is what they say.
Right.
So the project approving agency do minor additions or addition to that and accept, give consent to that TOR.
What is the involvement of the University of Motorcorp? Are they as consultant for CEO?
No. Actually, the RDA hired the University of Motorcorp to carry out the EIA study.
Right.
So they carried out the study with very limited information.
Right.
So they tried their best to do the job, but there was very little information, and on the other hand, they cannot wait years to gather the information either. So this is where the problem comes, because we are always in a hurry.
Going to the central highway, there are possibility to buy the next continuous life.
Learn what we learn from here.
I doubt. Are we learn and forget? Are we really carrying it through? Because the project directors are different, right? The message is not what happened in the past is not very well documented, and it has not been transferred to other officials or the colleagues. Right? The people who work in the project, they know them, and maybe certain outsiders also might not actually. They also may have the exposure. But when new project comes, a new set of people comes and they learn from the beginning sometimes.
Now, this is where, in fact, this is something we discussed later on. This whole process of who does the question comes up. And what we used to say when Santi was here, we said that, you see, we the project proponent who appoints a consultant to do EIA. So we said that is Soraga Mekina. Because that consultant is paid for by the project proponent who wants to get his project approved. Right? So, the structure is that so that it gets approved and he tries to cover it. So, but we felt was a wrong procedure. Project proponent will have to pay for it, right? But the CA should appoint the consultants to do the report, right? And in a way, maybe the TOR also will have to be part of that. So therefore, that looks at it a much more independent way of thinking. But also to answer the question that came up, have we learned? Have we learned as citizens of this country? And what are we doing? Now you are asking for Central Expressway. How many of us are asking what happened at the Southern Expressway? Are we holding them? We should be asking. Because RDA or the government will not ask that. But they want to do an expressway. Right? This is the issue. This is why we brought up this set of these things. So we are not aware. Actually, if you point at yourself, how much do I know what this whole process? What am I doing about it? We will have to create that kind of awareness among the citizens. We need the development to go, but that doesn't mean that not at any cost. You see, unfortunately, that is what is happening. At any cost, you go ahead and do that, but then will get it wrong. That is the issue.
Yeah, I have one we because if I am a project proponent, so I should defend my project. So I should have the right to hire whoever I want. I want to defend my project. Yes, but the consultant should have his ethics or her ethics. He has to maintain, or the professional bodies has to work towards that to maintain their
The mind of Java that is right. That person that is becoming wishful thinking. That does not happen. So
and because we are looking at a report, we cannot look at a report that is done by a person who have been appointed by us. Because we will defend the report because the person who have hired, because we have hired the person.
yeah.
So then the authority is trying to defend the EIA report. So it should not happen.
Yeah, I know, I see what you mean, but then I think we will find some mechanism on that. But basically, what you mean.
The most important thing, the more knowledge, more people who are educated people to involve in the EIA process, giving public comments, giving their views and experiences, contributing to make a better decision and to draft better conditions and to do monitoring meaningfully and better. Actually, that is what is not happening in the country. Only the educated people, I feel, start writing or talking if only they are paid. Otherwise, they enjoy themselves going on a trip or whatever and looking after their children. They think, why we worry? Why I should spend my time trying to serve to others free of charge? But we have to, at least the professional body should try to contribute to the development or the betterment of the country, contributing their capabilities to make the projects or the development successful.
You want to ask? I have a question, and you mentioned about the EMB, Environment Management Practices.
Plan.
Then plan that to be incorporated into the EIA. I mean, how is it the mandatory to get done the EIA or
We ask an EMP to be in the EIA report.
before, right?
Right? So that is not the final. EMP is actually a changing document. It changes with time or continuously. Right? So at the very beginning, the consultant prepare the initial EMP. Right? Then with the new knowledge you gather from the field, right? You improve it, and then the contractor also improve with their experience and the knowledge, and that is what is going into the contract document. That is how it works. Then the budget allocation is done to carry out that. If there is no budget, how can we implement?
Yeah, now that means that now when we don't, if we want to get done the EIA, it is mandatory to get done the EMP process as well now.
Yes, it's a part of the EIA.
And then the other information is that, I mean, let's say that from a CEA part, if you really found out some sort of wrongdoing as far as the EMP is concerned, I mean, do you really have need to punish these people in the government organization in both countries and like that? What sort of action that we are going to take in that context?
We can take action, but procedures are long. That is the problem. If an agency which comes under a different ministry is doing a wrong thing, what we have to do is we have to write to our secretary, through our secretary, to the secretary of the other ministry and instruct the agency. So that is how the government things happen. But if it is a private contract, yes, easy. We can go and enforce, and they abide by that, because even the procurement procedure in the government is very humble. If a tap is laid to rectify that, you have to follow the procedures to buy that tap, right? So it takes a lot of time, but in the private sector, they can just take it quickly and fix the thing.
You can't take legal action.
But we can.
You have to go through the secretaries of the ministries.
For government projects, taking legal action, what happens? So, in the case of Umawe, if we stop Umawe at this level without plastering all that, what happens? The problem will last forever. If we plaster the tunnel and maintain it, that means if we continue the project life cycle, right, then the water table will build up.
It makes a question. Was the EIA done for Umawe by bring up this problem? If a proper EIA was done, I mean, I'm trying to ask rather about that, but I
No, no,
gravely doubt the proper EIA being done from mine before. Otherwise, this, because I know for sure the degree of geotechnical investigation I've done was nowhere near it.
Yes. I can answer to a certain extent because we do things with the resources available, right? And time is also a resource, right? When we hurry, when we try to do things very fast, there is a lot of opportunity for it to go wrong. At the same time, the approval letter we issued was an approval letter plus a TOR. TOR for another set of work. So that part has not happened. Because we suggested so many things to be done before implementing the project. After the approval, because the investigations are so expensive, without environmental approval, the implementing agency is reluctant to spend so much on the thing. So this is also a weakness in the EIA procedure itself sometimes, because if we have two-stage EIA, giving the approval for the concept and the basic approach, and giving the second approval for the mitigation activities and the detailed design activities. So at present, the CE is not in a position to do that. We don't have something to say at present. So
This is a primary question to ask. Yeah, you can't say because you don't have resources, you don't do it. You don't do it. You don't do the project. That's my opinion. Because compared to the cost of a project, the resources and the cost of doing EIA is minute, I would say. You see, if you can't spend that amount of money for EIA, you should be talking about that in the first place. This is where the public has gone. This is where we are at fault for not being possible. There are so many protests going on now. You see, something I was very happy to hear you say, Southern Expressway, there was 700 public comments. I don't know how we get that kind of thing in other projects.
In Kumale, our project we have.
Yeah.
You have the method of protest. Yeah. The people protest.
Yes.
No, and also in my personal view, I know how to do. You see that 30-day period for public comments. If you look at the EIA report, you get a document this size. How many people are possible can spend the time or the distance to go through that? You have changed that completely and mandate the process should be simplified so that even man in the street can look at it and get some idea to be able to make comment. You should not be under by the higher learner professionals who can go through the things. Must be simplified. That element has to come. That is where the people can ask.
So, because Sri Lanka depends on donor money for doing feasibility and the EIA. That should not happen because donor money comes after the EIA approval.
So actually, let me tell you something now. That World Bank and ADB, they are willing to spend that money.
Yeah.
Now, in the case of some countries which are coming in here, for personal, benefits and all that, they will never do that because they are interested in making a quick buck. I mean, I'm very close about with ADB. ADB is one institution which is very particular about anti-corruption and environment. So they are willing to spend that money and they are in fact incorporating that amount to those projects. Because actually, when you say lack of resources, I understand that we will not have now the binding contract between the contractor and the environment ministry is the EMP, no?
Because environmental mitigation plan.
The EIA process itself, that also has a process.
No, but EIA is initial thing, just something from the EIA, from what your appreciation I got today. EIA is just document, you don't read it. But the binding thing ultimately is the mitigation practices now. Yeah. So you have to identify what the mitigation, first of all you have to identify what the environmental damages.
Yeah.
Then
How to mitigate?
how to mitigate that. So you have to have forethought.
Yeah.
And lot of experience. So I understand maybe that's what I want to complete to have the environmental authority may not have the people. So you will have to also hire external consultants. So then that money can be put into the by legislation with a proposal, yes. Because it is not going to do that, nobody will do it. Because the environment is very important. And there are various practices used elsewhere. I see in the say like in the American backpack, they are using satellite imagery. But there are different techniques which are not even practiced elsewhere in Europe. I mean, our people are totally clueless, so you have to hire them, you have to pay them. But it can be done. The thing is, this dialogue has to take place. I mean, as I said, if very correctly said, if you look at the total project, this EIA, when you make it compulsory, it's a very small amount. It's like if you are going to take a money, but we cannot be, I mean, there's a saying, you cannot Hindu.
When we look at the life cycle of the government, they want to do the feasibility, EIA and the project, complete the project within their period.
We
that
as people of this country cannot accept that. Simply because government got ruled with the disease, we cannot. It's our fault. If we allow country to keep quiet and allow government to do that, then we should have a problem, but we accepted it. That is the problem. We are not doing that. We, this place, institutional engineers, has to take care.
He was actually saying that.
Actually,
Yeah.
the regulator get pressure from two sides,
Yes.
right? So we always get the pressure from the government side. We need pressure from the other side. Then we can make a balanced judgment. We like pressures.
No, I mean, we certainly sympathize with you, your difficult position, because you are government agency. But people, I think when I say people, this is our responsibility as professionals and professional institutions. Because we can afford to show, no problem. We are not doing. So that is the issue.
Can I ask another question or two based on the presentation? Actually, it was very good, like we learned a lot from your presentation. I got thank you thank people like you for enlightening us so that we can be aware of it. Next time we can ask and as we said, we can ask those questions from the relevant authorities. That's what we are so good. And you mentioned about this quarry problem. Now, with regard to this problem, I see that there are two things. One is long-term environmental impact assessments and short-term. Now, dust and quarry noise are very temporary things. Why are you worried about that so much? When the real common issue is, you make a quarry, the water will fail in stagnant pool, and that those created so many other environmental problems in the long run, not in the short run. Now, noise is that something, it's already done. Yeah, with the dust, these people can manage. I mean, I don't think people. I think the focus has been on trivial things rather than the real environmental assessment.
Actually, when it comes to mining, EIA is not the only tool we use. For mining activities, you need EPL to be obtained. So it is a continuous monitoring. So we put conditions continuously and monitor continuously. So actually we set norms for both short-term and long-term impacts. We highlighted the short-term impacts in Southern Expressway case because
when you construct the road, you don't dig down and leave water pools and things like that. But I feel normally we don't let deep excavations when it comes to these granite mines and things. But I feel we should mine. That is my personal view. We should mine to the depth we can feasible and should use that pit for something else. Right? We don't let people to harvest the resource and stop it there, and we don't have some space to put our garbage or as I said.
So what's happening is that mind is not there. So this is disconnected. I mean, not only Sri Lanka, this is I'm talking about experiences in other countries. There is happening in various other countries. People are learning. It's not that it has happened to us. But we see what has happened to them. It's happening to us. They are telling us not to do it. We see. It's like beyond the railway, two people are knocked down and we are still walking. Other people are walking the railway, and we see 12 people or maybe 100 people later. So there is a disconnect. So maybe it's an additional work for EIA to see that whatever you excavate, those deep things need to be corrected. I mean, it happens. So actually now, if you look at the Singapore, there is no quarry, no sand, they have to import. The country is so small, but
we are also talking about importing sand.
we may have to do that or act cautiously. Unless you think of a problem, you don't get a solution. You get a shortcut, and that will have long-term environmental impact, and which ultimately people will pay. So it's not a saving there, You might save on the project cost maybe a few millions, but people have to pay in billions in years to come.
That is very true. We see mining of gravel. If we are not mining deep, we are removing all topsoil which is fertile. Right? So when we mine, we should think of how we can utilize that pit.
It's a different topography.
Yeah. If we are not planning it, I have told these things at different forums. So the RDA might tell, oh, that is not our job. Our job is to put up walls. Right?
That is the disconnect he is talking about.
The same thing, I normally have discussions. I work in relation to power sector. When electric board says this is very expensive, diesel is very expensive, what I say is you are utilizing only 30% of energy, 35% of energy, waste 70 and
That's expensive.
very expensive. Right? So actually there are ways, if they run a cool room, they can sell that facility. But the issue is CEB is not to run the cool rooms. Right? So we have to start differently, think differently.
Small question. Why interesting things came from your discussion?
No, actually, because I'm not just talking as a person who is working in the agency. I just talk freely as a person who has seen things.
No, I think quite appreciate it. Now, we need that. Now,
You mentioned about keeping buffer zones. But these buffer zones are also not kept due to money restriction. That's a major fault.
Yeah.
If you need some countries, like Japan, if you are buying a car, you will show that to the department. The either kind thing they have a department. If you are in a small compartment, you cannot park the vehicle on the road. That is illegal. So like that, if you are having a project like this, keeping a buffer zone is very essential. So most of the time is government, and I think it is best that we acquire those provisions. Government can allocate such time, and it is private women to take that. Now otherwise what happens is, most of the people will lay claim about shops and various other construction, and for expansion or any other problem, that is an issue. So buffer zone is an essential part. That must be incorporated into the EIA.
Yeah, it's a part of design.
Yeah, exactly.
So that is avoidance. Now, if you really study and try to put up noise barriers right throughout this southern expressway or other expressways, it's cheaper to have a buffer zone with trees.
But it must have land.
Yeah. No, if they acquire land at the very beginning, because we need about 8 to 10 meter strip to reduce the noise. It is better to control noise rather than treating deaf people, spending money, right? So that is what I feel. So I don't know. We let things to happen and try to react. That is how it works.
Right, that is the future projects. We are talking of good experience now. Okay, so these things for the future. So that this is learning experience. To learn these things, at least for you, you must maybe keep on engage the public. And I think tell the people and tell everyone that buffer zones are needed and that must be done. I mean, that should be part of it, and personally, that should be part of it. Without everyone, you can't have a road, you can't say road. Money and then you narrow it up. So these things are part of it. And planning was done, I think, then the railway, so that's the law is like a buffer zone on this side. But now buffer zone is enclosed.
Yeah, buffer zones are part of EIA requirement.
Not really.
Not that.
Because the mitigation can be having a buffer zone or having something else.
Okay.
Right?
Then
Engineering,
why-
construction,
okay,
whatever.
Then why not that particular mitigation? Is a mandatory requirement of the EIA?
Because the CA is not supposed to command. Right? In the EIA process, this is a very democratic process. When we issue EPL for the not only for mining, the disposal of waste, CA commands. CA tells, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, do this, and things like that. But when it comes to a project, it is complicated. There are very many different ways of doing things, right? So and also the person who planned the project knows better than the regulators about the.
But my point is that, for example, in this particular case, if that is the case, EIA should insist this buffer zone for, let's say, noise concern mitigation or whatever. So those aspects must be built in. The contractor or the project owner come up with maybe whatever buffer zone trees, whatever. So my opinion is that these aspects, the mitigations to these aspects, mitigation measures to these aspects must be there. I mean, this is where we were discussing how we are doing
Having buffer zone and flood detention area maintained by the project proponent, we have incorporated them into the conditions, right? But the getting things done through government agencies.
This is the issue, isn't it? The buffer zone is one way of solving.
exactly.
Finally, this thing is okay, yes, there is noise problem, and also there might be how to stabilize the slopes. So it's up to the project proponent to come up with either buffer zone or he must erect the noise barriers. He has to do either. So that is the problem.
This is not a question coming up. Then how do they get EIA?
No, what he must be other saying, you give a poor condition. Say that you have to do this, right? The best example is virtual. You see, there are conditions given, they ignore it completely. So this is where the problem is actually.
Then authority, this EIA, Central Government Authority, should have the right to go to stop the project, this is not being done. Some sort of measure has been done.
Very
I
good.
mean,
If I stop Narotcholi, what happens?
no, I mean,
Why not? Why not?
Exactly.
Why not?
then you put a court case or something, right? So that let them to sort it out. And this kind of mechanism has to be brought up. Otherwise,
It's a case of law and order. There's a law, there's a license.
whereas it's not CIA to go and stand at the level alone, but there should be means and methods to.
It happens indirectly. Why CED could not put up a coal power plant in Sampur?
No, that
Because they didn't operate the coal power plant in Noroccholi properly. Right? So the people didn't allow CED to have a second one.
But we can't get people to, and we should be able to bring systems, procedures, and policies to govern them. I mean, people will not be able to control all these three facts.
In the world, the whole controlling mechanism has limits. Right? Everywhere it is the same. In California, the worst air polluted city, the truckers does not have any emission control requirement. Truckers are polluting a lot.
So, here normal vehicles accepted. Right? This is the bigger chance. If you apply the area rule, for the other people, then first normal should control they are the bigger one, simple area rule. So that, for me, it's a saving of money, so that, we can impose things and get money out of the profit. That is the case,
Being a regulatory agency, we do whatever we can to rectify things. But our hands are not long enough to do everything. So we go to a certain extent and their own words, the next person has to.
One has to go on parallel now we have seen discussed by pollution. Process are there
We are in the process of gazetting the for noise standard. The issue is sometimes that when we try to gazette this, the Supreme Court did not allow us to continue. They asked us to stop at a certain stage. We will bring this at a later stage. Saying that we should do it at a later stage. In the same way, and with regard to this garbage issue, we took many people in the local authority, big local authority, that is the municipal council commissioner, to the court for not doing the right thing. Ultimately, court didn't give any favorable decision towards us, right? And so what court said was to settle the matter and take action
That is what
by both the parties.
Independence of the judiciary.
That is how.
You see, unfortunately, unfortunately, I don't know how you say it. It does happen in India.
Yes.
Indian Supreme Court is very firm on this.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether it's the government or the
confused as to what the role of CEA is.
CEA is doing things within the framework it has to operate, because we judge things, we show. These are the problems we encounter if we are not taking these steps. Right? So the top management, the board, has to take decisions on development projects. Okay? He is getting blamed continuously for blocking the development, but we are happy to take that blame Also, because
Yeah. So I think actually government is very that much educate the people. I mean, having the media or other people, ignorant people, to highlight some things. Say people doing things against the government. Actually, government is now trying to do something correctly. If you keep quiet, people will always say everything bad about you. But the intellectual people will know your part is very essential and you should be strengthened. Yes, instead of criticizing.
the government officer can talk only within his limit. Right? I'm not within that limit in this forum. Right?
That we more open.
Yes, we are open because all educated people and we personally know each other, many of us. Right? So, we cannot openly talk, but we can educate people. So, actually, I feel, can we educate people because they know better than us? they go to internet because they have free time, they learn continuously. The kids, they learn a lot and bring some suggestions or proposals.
No, that is what, and that is the strength that we have to make use.
Yeah.
There are no mechanism where that knowledge, like you say, or to be brought out as public, I don't know, based or whatever it is, to control it. Because we are
Yes, no mechanism.
If the Institute of Engineers can write to paper telling what should happen in projects or when project is to be done and things like that, or have positive criticisms on project proposals, that is most welcome, because then we are also enlightened in a way.
issues, positive issues, then we can tackle it. No, actually now what I'm proposing to do with Mr. Javadhan's slides, the question we asked, and we learn, how we apply it. I will write to the President and say, this is the situation, please take action to go and check what is happening in the central highway. Whether we have addressed this as an issue. I don't know whether we will get done, I am ready to do that. That is what is happening, that is what IESC is about. That is what our role is playing here, you see. Individually we are working for different places, but then as collectively, we have that right. And that is what we write in our corporate plan, saying that we should be the apex agency to give you decisions, give you sort of recommendations, advice to government or these matters. We are not doing it. This is what the matter. So I very much sympathize with the EIA because what they can do, the fact that there is a EIA process itself is a great step forward. That's a mechanism. The fact that it is not working as well as it wants is what we need to correct. Yeah. And also if you go through and check some of the conditions that have been given on the project under which they should do and how much of those conditions have adhered to, will be very surprised.
Serious issue is the influence over the some lacks in the act itself, limitations in the act.
No, act is all right. I don't think there may be minor improvements required, right? With the power we have been given, right? We can work. The limitations can come as limitations of staff, resources, right? You have big power, but you don't have a mechanism to implement it, right?
And the influences.
No, influences we can handle because we can come up with conditions. So some conditions will stop some certain things. We know how to handle it because now we have learned that through the experience we can make the cage properly, but to keep it right we need lot of resources. We have to monitor continuously what is happening and rectify it. we give approval within 6 months and we have to monitor for 6 years. So we don't get resources for monitoring for 6 years. So that is where the problem lies.
I said you can incorporate that amount in the contract
We-
or the
no,
project and you can fund it. No, do that. So you can even hire external also.
Staffing. Just you can just use money alone. Yes, it works.
Project-based staff.
So there is a limitation. But
Yeah, we are trying. That is what we suggested. To hire people, auditors,
Project-based.
that's what.
do it. But if the auditor is purchased, then what happens? So these things happen in other countries. They discuss.
There will happen that there will be always bad eggs. We must have established something else, we get twisted and that. So,
Yeah, that is why.
because of that possibility, we should not ignore that.
Yeah.
Because a government agency cannot be expanded and expanded.
Yeah.
It will never happen. So you must have this outsourcing basically.
Even for the tech,
Yeah.
we take people from outside because we cannot maintain that knowledge within the institute. It's very expensive.
I think this is where CEA need to recognize certain institutions as partners is very correct, so that maybe depend on certain expertise, for example, power plant these agencies and then hydro power plant, so that people will consult them only, not somebody else in because somewhere and get a report done. And roads more further, maybe if it's not available in Sri Lanka, maybe Singapore, where even we should push into that extent, otherwise this is the Maya kind of catastrophes will keep on happening. If you could do so, this will give solution to staff into whatever other so that you can get auditing also done to the same firm.
That is true, but it is happening at the moment to a certain extent. Right? So we do things officially and unofficially. Right? We get feedback from different means. Sometimes it's not the actually official way method. Sometimes if something happens, we get the information within a couple of minutes, right? So we get to know. Then we ring back and ask. So what happened at that place? Because we have to answer to the people and top people. So we have that mechanism, but how difficult to maintain that system? It's not easy. We have our unofficial network as well to get information. Otherwise, we cannot survive.
Developing countries, how much they can take this problem? Other countries, the neighboring countries,
Actually, even in India, right, Indian judiciary is doing a very good job. But on the other hand, right, if there is a government proposal, whatever it is implemented.
They much better in the region. Sri Pakistan is different.
When it comes to EIA, Sri Lanka is the best within these SAARC countries, because even though it is government or private, we critically analyze and write things in our technical report, and we draft conditions. The issue is how difficult to implement those conditions on the soil. That is the difficult part.
I'm sure there are lots of ways that can be improved, but by and large, up to that point, I fully agree with this. You see, that's what I said. We need to go and look at what are the conditions that are there and highlight where they have ignored them. What I know, best is dormitory.
It is open document. All the approval letters and EIA report Open public document. So anybody can have access to it. We are thinking of publishing it on our website.
Yeah, I think
So
so. I think so.
people should get to know, and then they will react on it.
To go to the EIA and give some conditions and give the conditional approval to proceed. And at the incubator stage only you have the problem.
Yeah, that is very cumbersome. Yes.
No, that is where, that is where the public and people like us,
Because
it has to come.
it's true.
Exactly, that's
Yeah.
right.
This is not a very good example, right? To fight couple of thousand rebels or the terrorists, I do not know who they are. How many soldiers were there in the country? Right? So when people, the whole public is doing different things, we have to hire people from outside world to control all this. Right? So we cannot go in that direction. So somehow we should find a mechanism, right, and educate people. There should be some self-control, right? Auditing by neighbors. That is where it works. Because in Singaraja, Professor Kotagama managed to develop group of people to protect.
They are people who are protected.
Yeah, the surrounding neighbors are the protectors of the Singaraja, not the government.
The police,
The two people appointed to protect that Singaraja, can they protect it? Can they? So, the same mechanism we have to adopt. Otherwise, we cannot protect the environment.
The community consultation actually came from you. I think the community consultation also needs to be done. Somebody has explained. I think I don't think it's part of it. But in the project proponent, they have to do that. And the public
Actually,
community.
yeah, NGO also doing things, but both ways.
Yeah, I know. I don't think I know. But they are very small projects. I mean, like if you look at highways, going through different roads.
No, a lot of NGOs involved in.
But I am here in mind for certain villages, not for the entire world.
No. For the entire village, some people, even to UN,
But don't have money. Micro areas is really something which is very bad. Then the money will come back and they will do it. Now, highways are different. Eventually, it's a localized. Highways are going through.
yeah, linear development.
Yeah, it's a huge. It covers a vast area. Multiple areas. Take a project for a dam. Now the problem was again the underground tunnel. That is the issue. Some of the technology is totally new.
Okay, I think we are well exceeded our allocated time. So, but I think the discussion was interesting enough. We can go on talking about it. So, but then we have to act, not only talk. I think there are, each of us has a role to play in this one, and we should be conscious of this and pass it on to our people. Write to the papers, talk about it, write to the president. We have forum also, right? Talk to the president. So, if you wish, some of you will also write to the president and say, for God's sake, get off your chair, do something about it. And I will, I promise you, I'm going to write to the president, using what Mr. Jawad said, are we doing that particular central? This is not too late. And we as IES said, what are we going to do? So that's the way.
Yeah, if you can suggest some answers as well.
That's right.
That is very important because politicians does not like only the questions. That's right.
Yes, that is good.
Right? They need some solutions as well. Okay, Kumar.
Thank you very much for spending time with just 2 minutes.
Good evening everyone, I am Kumar Deharat, the member of the Mechanical Sectional Committee. On behalf of the committee and its chair, I would like to thank Mr. Jawardhan, Deputy Director of the Central Environment Authority, in delivering this very interesting lecture and analysis of the EIA for the Southern Expressway. So there's a lot of discussion, a lot of enthusiasm. So thank you very much, sir. I would like to take the opportunity to hand over a token of appreciation. So for that, I would like to call upon our senior member, Mr. Parakmal Jayasinghe, to present the token to Mr. Jawardana.
This is only a memento.
In appreciation, yes.
Yeah, appreciation. Thank you, Sir. Thank you for spending time with us.
And actually, I should thank you all for giving me this opportunity. I reluctantly accepted it because of the time issue. So I think I didn't spend sufficient time for doing this also. But I learned a lot by doing this. I went through the files and learned a lot. So this is a very good exercise for me also. Thank you very much, sir.